Welcome back to the Piping Pastor. Well, we are in triple digits here in El Paso now. So, yes, the smoking jacket's back up on the hook. Time to break out the Madras patterns, the linens, and the cold brew pitcher. Still enjoying that afternoon coffee, just doing it through cold brew. And depending on how the weather turns, if it gets into 60s and 70s, then I'll still wear the smoking jacket and cap. But when it's over 100 degrees outside, even in my little smoking lounge, which is rather cool and insulated, I still get a bit warm. And when it comes to classic men's fashions, there's an entire set of rules for summer wear as well. So I did a video on that a while ago. It occurred to me I have not done much in the way of classic men's fashions videos of late. So I'm going to review some of my older videos and see what it is that I covered, what it is that I maybe not have covered, and get back into those as well. And of course, some of the other stuff too. But today, I'm enjoying here my little Admiral pipe. Spoken about this one previously, of course. This pipe is about 100 years old, and still a great smoker with a lot of stories behind it, no doubt. I got it in the state auction, and in it, I'm smoking Pilgrim's Muse. I've been on a bit of a country squire kick recently. I've seems like the last couple of days, that's all I've been smoking is King's Highway and Pilgrim's Muse, the George's Dragon. Of course, the old names for all those, were all discontinued. Same blends, different names, of course. But I figured I should start using the new names for them so people would not get confused. You heard me talking about a blend and then couldn't find it. But I was on Kane Rod's live stream last night. Just briefly. I just kind of popped on, said hi real quick, watched for a few minutes, and then got pulled away. But I was sad to see the news that Match's channel was taken down. There was a lot of conjecture about why. I don't think it was YouTube. I think that we could all generally say that YouTube would not just get rid of the channel. But if I remember correctly, I believe his daughter took the channel over when he passed. So maybe she had. There was some conjecture that Sergeant 7 LA was going to take the channel over and repost it. So it may be back up now. I haven't checked today, but that'd be kind of sad. There'd be a big chunk of the YTPC history that would be gone. And Matches was a heck of a storyteller. So beyond the tobacco reviews and live streams that he had hosted and so forth, just some of the stories, growing up in New England in the 60s. Definitely worth a listen to. But in any case, something else I haven't done for a while, and I apologize in advance because I'm smoking the wrong pipe for it, but I have not done the Mark Twain for quite a while. This was a book that I got from Hooten Breyer, Brother Rob, and he's a big Mark Twain fan. And along with this, I got a corn cob from him, which is my only corn cob. Because I'll be honest with you, I don't care for corn cobs. I think they're good for aromatics, which I don't smoke very often, and I'm assuming they're very good for codger blends, Um, at least that's what I've heard. But I mean, I've done some Captain Black in it, Match Revelation, a couple things like that. I'm just not a big fan. Maybe it's a mental thing with me, but it seems like whenever I smoke a cob, towards the end of the bowl, it starts to get this odd sweetness. And at first I thought it was because, well, it's a new cob, time to break it in. But I've had it for years now and smoked quite a few bowls in it, and still it gets this odd kind of cloying sweetness towards the end of the bowl. And so I said, for aromatics, it's fine because I very rarely smoke aromatics. And when I get to the end of a bowl of aromatic, I'm usually okay, I'm done with it anyway. But when it comes to smoking some of the other things, the Englishes that I prefer, and Virginias, and so on and so forth, it kind of turns me off towards the end. So I don't smoke it very often. But normally I would smoke it when I'm reading this book. So I apologize for that. But what I always want to do is I like to read these quotes and then try to put them in conversation with with the Bible or some other literary work and so on and so forth, or offer another interpretation of some of Twain's work. But uh, I had this quote today that put me in mind of something I was reading recently from Samuel Johnson. But thousands of geniuses live and die undiscovered, either by themselves or by others. And it has a great it's a great quote to speak about potential and how useless potential is. That doesn't sound good, does it? But I had a gent that worked for me years ago that hated the term potential. He's like, potential is nonsense. Everybody has potential. Just as a massive energy, everyone has potential. Unless you do something with it, then you might as well not have it at all. It's a silly thing to even discuss. Like, oh, they've got great potential. Okay, do something, right? And that quote kind of reminded me of that. But I was reading Samuel Johnson's Life of the Poets, and in his section, he's talking about Jonathan Swift. And he mentioned some of the stuff that Jonathan Swift had written, but also about his personal life as well. And one of the things that Jonathan Swift did was essentially offer interest-free microloans to the poor. Now, if you'll remember, I think in 2006, there was a gent in India. I should have Googled his name before I started recording this video, but I want to say it was Muhammad Yuma. Fact check me on that, because again, I did not Google it ahead of time. But it was in 2005, 2006, won the Nobel Peace Prize for doing microloans in India and offering like $200-300 loans to poor people to start businesses and things like that. And the work was lauded all over the world. Again, he won the Nobel Peace Prize for it that year. And all the discussion around it was that he came up with this brilliant plan, this great idea of going to poor people instead of doing thousands and thousands of dollars of loans which they couldn't get. Like, here's $200. These people who had no money whatsoever and they were living on the street and so forth, they could take that $200 or $300 and buy a food cart, or buy some materials to make some garments to sell. And they were incredibly industrious with it. Many of them were very, very prosperous afterwards. But the whole idea behind it actually was used by Jonathan Swift in 1734, 1735, something around there. So, over 250, 270 years ago, had already come up with this idea. But one of the ways they differ, they both did like interest-free loans, right? But Jonathan Swift's wasn't quite as popular, because while he said, I will loan this money to you with no interest, just a small fee to pay for the accountant, if they had not paid back the money on the date that they were meant to pay back, he still had them sued in court. So charitable, but still, with rules in place. But because of that, and because it ended up with a lot of people getting sued and going to debtors prison, he got a lot of negative publicity for it and stopped doing it. But in both of these instances, right, whether you look at the microloans from the 1700s, or you look at the microloans that got the Nobel Peace Prize in 2006, you're taking something like potential and you're actioning it with a little bit of resources. You're giving these people the opportunity to do something with and for themselves, they can have some kind of an impact and kind of step forward, right? So that whole hand up versus hand out thing. So we're not talking about giving them a $300,000 loan for a house that they don't really need, right? We're saying, okay, if you're truly industrious, if you're truly a person of talent, or a person of great thought, or a person who's really, really motivated to dig yourself out of something, you don't need a huge sum of money for a startup. Just a little bit to get going, just a little bit to start, and then kind of move on from there. That's how that genius is revealed. Because otherwise, you just have potential that just sits there. Was it the movie? Oh goodness, I really should look these things up before I start these videos. A Bronx Tale. There it is. The saddest thing in the world is wasted talent. Well, talent's only wasted if you choose to waste it, right? So, a little bit of wisdom from Mark Twain today. Everyone has potential. I think that's a silly statement, right? I mean, to say you have potential and you don't have potential. You may have potential for one thing and not for another thing, right? But potential, again, is a silly word. It's just latent action. So you may be a genius in one way or another. You probably are a genius in one way or another. I firmly believe that God, who knows us and counts the hairs upon our head, knows us well enough to know where we need to be and what we need to be doing, and gives us the talent and means to do so, to be successful. You may need a bit of a push, but it's all there in there for all of us. So you need not be a genius that dies undiscovered, either by someone else or by yourself. Well, that's it for this time. I'll turn my attention back to my Country Squire tobacco and my iced coffee. I hope you have a lovely week. As always, happy reading.